Hello, welcome. Hi. Hey, just gonna make sure I've got all the links up, and we'll give it a couple minutes, see if anybody else rolls in. All right. Well, it might just be you and me. That's okay. You're on mute, by the way. I can't hear you, but I'd love to.
All right.
I
I'm
can
your
hear you
audience
now.
of one.
If you hear anything going on in the background, that is my 3-year-old trying to get to me. Oh, here we go. Hey, sweetie. All right, we made it. Yeah. All right, Megan.
Oh, Patrick is here.
Mm-hmm. Oh. That made an interesting symbol. I don't think I've seen that one before. Is it Patrick? Or Monica?
Maybe it's Monica.
Okay, maybe we'll give one more minute just in case.
Mute.
Right. Well, thanks for being here, and I'm hopeful I can answer any questions you might have about the call. So, all right, it's 7:04. We're gonna go. And we'll see if anybody else rolls in. So I'm Liz Helfer, the Public Arts and Culture Planner for Watertown. Really excited to be putting out this call for Edible Watertown, a project at the Public Arts and Culture Committee. This is the second time we've done a call like this. Only this year it's expanded beyond just visual arts into the written arts, and we're really thrilled about that. Being able to bring more artists, different genres in. So if you haven't seen it, I'm assuming you have because you're here. The call lives on the city website. It's a little bit buried, but if you go to the main page and you're searching for it that way, you can also Google it. It'll come up a little bit quicker, most likely. Called the Edible Plants Project 2023. But if you're on the main page of the website, you go to Government, Community Development and Planning, Public Arts and Culture, Edible Watertown. And there it is. Just a few layers deep, given that the city has so much going on. Okay. I'm gonna share screen. I'll just do a brief overview of the call, and then we'll open up for questions. Okay. Let me do a little share screen. Oh, do I have the right page open? No, of course not. Let me, one moment. I will share in just one more second. Let me make sure I've got the right thing up. Okay. There it is. And share screen. There we are. Share. Okay. And I know this might be a little bit hard to see, but this is the full call, the full text of the call. Yeah, what do we do? Only 4 pages long. We're really doing well here. This is actually, these are all details or small images, thumbnails of the artwork from last year. We're really thrilled by the range of work and the quality of the work. So Edible Watertown is a long-term interdisciplinary project that's meant to promote awareness of our local environment through the artistic and scientific exploration of edible plants in Watertown. And we say edible plants, but in this project specifically, we're looking at wildly grown edible plants. So you wouldn't necessarily have to cultivate them in your own garden. Great. So this is the second iteration of the Edible Plants Project, as I already mentioned, and bringing writers into the fold. The 10 plants we're looking at this year are comfrey, milkweed, mullein, I say that incorrectly, pokeweed, the prickly wild rose, red clover, shagbark hickory, spicebush, trumpet, honeysuckle, and white yarrow. I do want to put a disclaimer here that we are not, we put this on the website, we do not encourage people to eat these things without first consulting an expert. Don't go and pick them and eat them raw. Comfrey in particular can actually be pretty toxic, but has very many medicinal properties when used properly. So just to be aware that we're not proposing to people that they go out there and just eat these things. We would just want to raise awareness through writing and visual arts that these things do exist and they are natural resources available to our community. So both written and visual artists, if selected for the project.
I wander off the screen a little bit.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? This is Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi. I'm having trouble with this new computer to see myself, let alone be seen by others. I've just been talking with Monica to see how she can help me with her superior skills. But carry on.
Okay. Well,
I'm listening.
if you're still having to, let us know if you need any help. I don't know if we can do much about the camera on this end, but we'll see. So our selected artists and writers, and we do include writers and artists, I'll just say artists from here on out, will be paid a total of $750 for their work. What we're asking for in the call, when you submit, are past examples of your work and a little bit about you and your work. So both the bio and the artist statement are optional, because we know that that's actually a barrier to some artists, because we like to, I also being an artist, sometimes, although writers, maybe not so much, but visual artists in particular might find it a barrier when their main form of expression is visual art. But we'd love to know a little bit about you, a little bit about your work, and see at least two, I think it was 1 to 3 past work examples. So for visual artists, these would be images, and for writers, this could be a doc of any type. I guess you could upload it as an image, but probably not the easiest way to read it. Okay. So literary artists are going to be asked to write 500 to 1,000 words. And this is like, give or take, there's wiggle room here, because the goal is that the writing will be displayed alongside the visual artwork so that people will be able to experience both in the same setting. Okay. So it could be a poem that is much fewer than 500 words, or it could be something that's much longer, and then we print it out smaller and display it that way. But just to give it a sense of the scale. Visual artists will have an 18 by 24-inch wooden board provided to them once selected, and they put their artwork on that board. So everything ends up the same scale when it's all hung together. Great. The artwork and writing will be displayed at several local venues. It includes the Mosesian Center for the Arts, the Tillwave Gallery, and the Watertown Free Public Library. There may be another location, but it's TBD, so I don't want to say it yet. At the end of the exhibit cycle, the artwork gets auctioned off, and the proceeds go to the next iteration of Edible Watertown. We found that the closing reception and auction was really wonderful last year, and we're hoping that this year it will include readings, hopefully from the literary artists. Okay. All artists, you will retain copyright of your work, but the city will retain license of rights to use the artwork and imagery in the written work in order to share the work in perpetuity. Okay. In addition to the exhibit cycle, there is going to be an art book that'll be printed that has both the images and the written work together. So if you imagine them on facing pages, so you'd be able to experience both, similar to how you'd experience in the gallery. Awesome. So all artists over 18, well, we don't even say over 18, just has to have quality past work, or at least be able to show that you know what you're doing. And the committee, the review committee, is the Public Arts and Culture Committee, plus 1 or 2 experts in local plants. Those are to be determined and based on availability for when we do review the work. It may just end up being the Public Arts and Culture Committee, which is a 9-member committee. And they do try to select a very robust lineup of work. So looking for a variety. So we've got too many oil painters we like, we may end up cutting a few oil painters. Now, too many poets, maybe a poet gets cut, because we would like to see, we really think it's more meaningful to have a really wide range of work. Okay. We'll talk about the timeline a little bit, and then we'll look at the online application form, if that sounds good to you. So the application's open. You're at the virtual information session. So we got the first 2 down. July 16th, so a month from now, applications are due. So we got lots of time. If you have any questions between now and then, definitely you're here to ask questions, but if anything comes up, you can always ask me. We will let everybody know by the end of July who's selected and the different plant assignments. And then the art boards will be available for pickup. And then by the end of September, the artwork and the written work must be delivered to get ready for the first exhibition. And then we know the exhibition cycle, we're still TBD in a couple of the actual starting dates, but we will let everybody know as soon as the specifics are nailed down. And then the closing reception auction, we do know, will be at the Mosesian Center for the Arts on March 7th, which will be where the final show is. Okay. Any questions so far? I know I just did a lot of talking. Okay, great. So I'm going to pop on over to the JOT form that we're using, the online application. So we got the basics: full name, your email, phone number, address. Great. You have the option to put in your website or social media if you have them. And it can be really helpful, for example, if the committee is divided between 2 artists, they might see if there's any additional resources to be able to look up other work. And so if you have a website that shows other examples of your work, great. Otherwise, we do use it to promote each artist when we do the exhibition cycle, because we definitely want to link directly to all the work you've done and share all the wonderful things that you do as an artist. Artist statement, artist bio. So I know I said this was sort of optional. What we've done is we've combined them. So if you want to do one or the other or both together, that's fine. Just to, it could even be a couple of sentences, but tell us about yourself and your work. A resume is definitely optional. Yeah. I know some people find that that's an easier way to share what they've done before instead of talking about it in a biography form. So it's really up to you if you include a resume. I definitely recommend, 1 to 2 pages. Probably won't get read past the 2nd page. Okay. And then 2 to 3 work samples. So again, we're not asking for a lot of work samples, minimum of 2. And if you are going to do we would like for them to be different. This applies more to visual artists. We would like them to be different artworks. Okay. So if you're sharing, 3 images of past painting, then please 3 different paintings and not just one of a painting, then a detail of a painting, the same painting is a lot less helpful.
Yes.
All right. And then image text. So it says down at the bottom in the caption, include the title, the materials or genre in the case of writing, the dimensions or the length of the overall work. Maybe perhaps if it's an excerpt, mention that here for writing, and the year it was completed. Okay. All right. And then you get to rank which plants you like the best in case you have a preference for what you'd like to write or do a visual artwork about. You get to rank them between 1 to 10, or if you don't care, you put not applicable and we'll just assign something. So we will take all the rankings into consideration for the final selected artists. We cannot guarantee everyone gets their first choice. Obviously, this is why we're doing a little ranked choice voting here. to try and ensure everyone gets something they're interested in if selected. Okay, let's see. Any questions?
Hmm. Hmm. Am I unmuted, Liz?
You are unmuted.
Great. So this just answers one of my questions, which is whether I would be able to list my favorite plants. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
I have a question about the coloring book. So would that be black and white reproductions of the artwork then to be filled in? And that would kind of pull for more linear artwork, yes?
Well, so last year we did a coloring book. This year we're simply doing a print art book full color.
Okay.
Yep. So this year we're not going to do the coloring book, even though we think it's really fun.
Yeah.
We found that even the ones that weren't linear, it's easy enough to manipulate them digitally that they're still wonderful for coloring in.
Okay.
But we felt that between the writing, we didn't want to detract from the quality of the writing or the full color, because that was one of the things we actually sort of missed when we did the coloring book. Was like, oh, but some people had such beautiful use of color. It's really a shame that we're not recreating it here for people to take with them.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then for artist statement and bio, one paragraph for each? I'm not sure.
You can do one paragraph for each if you'd like. You can combine it. We find that often the way they get written is like, Liz Helfer works out of her studio in Waltham, where she creates work that addresses. And so it's a little biographical and it's a little bit about my art, and that totally works.
Okay. And does that mean then that it's a limit of 2 paragraphs for the
we're asking for not more than 2 paragraphs in total.
So I can really stretch a paragraph.
I mean, go for it.
Okay. All right.
Whatever you feel represents you best.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I just have to say, this is a brilliant project.
It's a lot of fun. We're really thrilled to be working on it, especially to keep it going. I will pass that along to the Public Arts and Culture Committee. They're going to be thrilled.
Brilliant. Oh my gosh, it just makes a person proud to be from Watertown.
Yes, I do think that often, that I'm very lucky to work in Watertown. I also want to point out that this is the second iteration of 3 that we've thought through, and potentially more. So next year we know that we're planning to do visual art again, because we find that that's really very engaging. And then we're hoping to engage culinary artists to do a recipe book. So using different plants. So we're very excited to keep the momentum going on this type of project. I mean, it really is endless. We can just keep going with all sorts of plants.
Okay. Thank you.
Sharon, I agree with you. This is a very fine introduction to the modus operandi for a project that has never been attempted yet. It is very thoroughly thought out, to my mind. So well done, Liz.
Well, I can't take all the credit. It's definitely the Public Art and Culture Committee. They've worked very hard on this. I simply give some guidance and make sure it gets out there.
So. I'm impressed, greatly impressed. But I do have one question about the bio resume bit.
Yep.
That is, how does one preserve anonymity if one goes to much detail? So I have a feeling that as a criterion for selection, it should be probably not counted very much. Otherwise,
right.
Well, I don't know how you assign the works to people to whom we would be totally anonymous.
No.
It may be difficult if you have local jurors.
Yeah, I will say that in the last cycle, and we do the whole review process is part of an open meeting, so you're welcome to tune into it. And several people on the committee realized that they knew they could recognize the artwork last year, and they knew exactly who it was right away. And I did, well, I see all the back end. I'm not a voting member of the committee. But what I do is I simply black out the names and send it to the whole group. And it is bound to come up. But people were still very it came up enough that it was hard for our committee members to actually say, I have to step aside for this vote. So we are trying to preserve anonymity. We do suspect that some things will be uncovered. And our people do try to be as impartial as they can.
Oh, so this brings up another
Mhm.
question that I hadn't thought about anonymity. So one of the three I was thinking of submitting is my yard art for this year, but that
Ah.
wouldn't be a good idea
No,
because it's very
be-
recognizable.
yeah, probably we get recognized.
Yeah.
However, if you think it's your strongest work, I would submit it.
Hmm.
We're not.
Yeah.
I will say that the judgment is very much much more based on merit than like worry that we know the person.
Yes, I think we'll have to trust you in that.
I know it's a hard one to navigate because we're operating at such a local level.
Right.
Yeah, we are a small community.
Mhm. And artists do tend to know one another. But they do have a rubric with which they each of the members, before we even come to the open meeting for the review session, the final selection, where they have basically gone through the rubric with each applicant to see application, and they come with their top choices, and then we debate, or they debate the top choices, and I what's the word? Coordinate that.
And so the jury is only looking at the samples and not at the artist statements.
They are looking at the artist statements.
They
And if
are.
your name is in it, it will get blacked out.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Before they review it.
I think the message is go light on the bio part, since it's really the work of art that's going to
It's
count.
really the work that should shine through.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Any questions about the application, like about anything else in the application process? Does it feel clear?
So much more clear. Thank you.
Okay, great. Awesome. And if you do have any trouble, let me know. I'll like help you get through it. And there's always the option of simply email it to me. That will work too.
Do you want to give us your email?
Yep. It's ehelfer, so EHEL, F is in Frank, ER at Watertown -ma.gov. And I'll pop it. Oh, I don't have chat because this is the WCA TV. But also, if you look on any of the public arts and culture pages on the website, you'll see my email there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. I'm so thrilled that you're likely to apply. It's wonderful.
I'm certain to apply. I was over the moon when I read it. I don't know how I missed it last year. So.
Well, it was the first time, and we're ironing out the kinks of our outreach. So, we have yet to actually do some of the outreach we plan to do. So we're going to be pushing it a lot in the next couple of weeks. I'm very excited about that too. And if you do know anybody who thinks a great fit, please spread the word. I know in case it puts people in direct competition with you, maybe it's up to you, but
And you don't have to live in Watertown.
no. But one of the requirements is like, we're not going to mail the art board. So if you are a visual artist, you're going to have to come pick it up. So you might not want to live in Florida, or California. In case you're visiting, I don't know.
Okay.
Yep.
It sounds like fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And the exhibition cycle was really well received, and we're really excited to do it again. I also want to say that this is one project under the larger umbrella of the Edible Watertown project. So right now we've got the Edible Plants Project, which you're applying to, which we're so thrilled. And then we also have our planting program. And we got this $70,000 grant from the Massachusetts Area Planning Council through their Accelerating Climate Resiliency initiative. And it created a new garden at the middle school, which you may have seen if you've driven by on Waverly Ave, and a summer internship program for youth, as well as, so there will be another call for visual artists. I'm sorry, Patrick, that is for the educational signs about pollinators that are going to go into the garden. And so be on the lookout for that too. It's another paid opportunity. I think that I shouldn't quote it off the top of my head, but I believe the amounts are 1,000 for one of the larger sign and 600 for the smaller sign. And there's a potential to be able to do both if selected for both. It's going to be really wonderful. So keep an eye out. That's coming in July.
I can see this idea can be transferred to many different themes.
Yeah.
And not only of an environmental nature, but for now, I think that's a good way to start. But the edibility is only one aspect of the environment too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting to think about how much this can expand. And originally we were thinking a 5-year arc for the whole Edible Watertown project and its many branches. But now we're thinking, oh, this might be a really, really long-term project.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And please do spread the word, and I'm going to send out some more. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep. Good night.